Hello and welcome to Retro Pinball. All the gameplay you are about to see is played through the Unity editor. However, the game is fully functional and has been built in an APK format for installation on Android devices. As this game has been built for mobile devices, I took this opportunity to integrate the audio settings to be part of the main user interface during the gameplay. This way, the player can dynamically choose whether they want music and/or sound effects to play at the same time without interruptions. As you can see, the faint ovals on either side of the screen represent the area in which the player can touch the screen, and in doing so activates the flippers. They have also been programmed to activate a trigger which shoots the ball up through the chute. After the ball has been shot for the first time, it is automatically shot again when the ball resets its position to the chute after it has fallen out of play. Once the ball has left the chute, it triggers a door to close behind it, stopping the ball from falling back down the chute. After the ball has fallen out of play and is reset to the chute, it triggers another event to reopen the chute door to continue play. The yellow springs that you can see at the top of the level are built with a basic explosion force and are animated to give the player feedback. Once the ball collides with them, score is added to the total in the center of the screen. The brown flippers at the bottom of the funnels are built as a trigger event. The flippers themselves are a cube with a hinge joint attached to a rigid body, so they can rotate. The trigger is underneath them. This way the ball can still pass through and gain score even if the ball doesn't spin the flippers. The yellow targets underneath the flippers are built on a collision event that once the ball collides with them, disables them for 30 seconds, and after that they are re-enabled. They also add to the total score. The bumpers serve as a first line of defense for the player. As such, they add force to the rigid body of the ball in the direction that they are facing, as well as a small amount of upwards force to make it feel a bit more in line with real-life physics. As the paddles are controlled by the player, it is imperative that they feel good to use. For this game, I built them to animate when the touch controls are activated, but they were also given a rigid body and a hinge joint to apply physics to the ball when they collide. Before this, the ball would stop all momentum once hitting the paddles and made the game impossible to play. As the game progresses and points get accumulated, the player will be awarded a bonus ball for another chance to get more points. This is activated every 10,000 points, as it needed to be a reachable goal, but not so easy that it can make the game not fun. Once the ball falls out of play, the player loses a ball and is either able to continue playing with a new ball or is greeted with a game over screen. Once the player has reached the game over screen, they are shown the final amount of points they got and are given the option to play again or return to the main menu. I did attempt to implement a leaderboard using an array and player preferences so the player could save their score. However, I ran into issues with Unity and ultimately scrapped it at the last second as I did not have time to fix it. And lastly, this is level 2 of the game. Functionally, it works identically to level 1, however the layout has been completely altered and the score given by the interactables has been changed to differentiate it. It also has its own music. This is the ball script. It is responsible for tracking the lives of the ball and updates the player through the text shown in-game. It is also responsible for the upwards momentum the ball receives when being shot out of the chute. This is the explode script, which is attached to the springs. When the ball collides with the spring's animation is updated, a sound effect played, and an explosion force is added to the rigid body of the ball. Score is then added and the text updated. This is the menu script. It controls all aspects of the menus within the game, allowing the player to play the game, choose a level, replay the same level once the player hits game over, return to the main menu, and quit the game. Some code from this is based around code from a previous assignment but has been edited for use in this one. This is the paddle script. Its only function is to animate the paddles and play an audio clip when the input has been pressed. This is the score script. Its function is to keep track of how many points the player has accumulated and to show them to the player via a text-based user interface in-game. This is the open stopper script. Its function is to trigger the stopper door to open when the ball has been reset inside the chute. This is the close stopper script, which functions identically to the open stopper script, but instead closes the stopper and is only triggered once the ball is in play. This is the left bumper script. As it collides with the ball, it adds force specifically to the right of the global location of the ball. It also adds a smaller amount of upwards force for better feel. This is the right bumper script, which works almost exactly the same as the left bumper script. However, it instead adds left force to the ball instead of right. This is the flapper script. It uses a trigger function underneath the actual flappers to add score to the total. The flappers themselves are purely cosmetic. This is the target script. This script uses a coroutine so that when the ball collides with it, it gets deactivated and stays deactivated for 30 seconds before getting reactivated. To do this, it uses a collider of a box object that the actual target is attached to and switches that off and on as needed whilst the target mesh itself is deactivated and activated at the same time. This is to avoid getting errors that would be related to the target being turned off and on so frequently.